Hello everyone. Uh, Welcome to a new video on our Curious Engineers channel. So today's topic is going to be about how do you make a country a developed nation, right? So instead of speaking of a country, we will speak about India being a developed nation. Most of us have heard this statement right from our childhood. Across several generations, we have been hearing that we are a developing nation, intending to be a developed nation, and then that specific time where we will be called developed nation is continuously changing, right? Maybe at one point we thought, okay, at 2020 we would be already a developed nation, 2025 we would be a developed nation, but then it's a moving target basically, right? So first of all, let's define what a developed nation is, right? So it may not be the textbook definition. Let's go with what is logical definition, right? So any nation which is able to have its basics sorted out, right? What do I mean by basics? Its population has been given access to clean water. Most of the population has a decent shelter. Then most of the population is also covered with good healthcare system which is affordable, and a good education system which is affordable at the same and additionally also infrastructure like roads, railways, airports, etc. are widely available, and also the modern infrastructure needs like affordable internet, affordable mobile communication, etc. are established. So this would comprise and outline what a modern developed nation would be. But on top of this, a very important aspect also revolves around what is the per capita income. Most of the times this is what is ignored. Many people do not think about this, but it is very important that when you say affordable healthcare, affordable education system, all this, if you want to give quality education, quality healthcare, etc., obviously it would mean some cost. And when it means some cost, and then when we want majority of population to afford it, it also means that you'll have to have a population which has enough money in hand to afford it, right? So another way is to subsidize it so much that government loses money. So that is not a sustainable approach. Sustainable approaches, you will put it at a maybe not high profit but average profit range of all of this, because in capitalism you cannot afford to give everything for free. But at the same time, you ensure that majority of population has enough money that they can access all of this, right? So if we put this, and if you all agree that this is the definition, broadly this is the definition, then let's look at where we are today, right? Majority of India even today has not the access of clean water, right? It has definitely improved in the past 10-15 years. There is a great improvement in access to clean water, tap water at least, but then there is still a long way to go. At the same time, our government schools, where majority of our population studies, we all know what is the state, right? It's nowhere near what we can call ideal, right? It's far away, it's understaffed. At the same time, the basic amenities required in the school are minimal, right? It also depends from state to state. So and also the amount of money that India as a country invests in education is very, very minuscule when compared to our competitors. Maybe not direct competitors, but at least we aspire to look at them as competitors. For example, China, right? We are much far away from what they are investing in healthcare and education, right? Similarly, when it comes to healthcare as well, we know where our government hospitals stand. It's not, again, an ideal scenario. Lot of work to be done. Again, understaffing is a problem. There are some basic amenities that are missing again here. So there again we need a lot of progress. Definitely in the past 10-15 years there is a good amount of progress that's happened even in this area, but then there's a lot more to be done, right? This is not sufficient to call ourselves a developed nation, right? Maybe one area where there is much better progress is power sector. Modern society needs cheap and affordable power. I don't say cheap, but affordable power. But there I think India is doing pretty well. Most of the states are having excess power generations. In fact, our power outlook also looks very positive. I mean, power generation outlook in the future as well looks very positive. For sure, we are going to rely a lot on nuclear power as well going forward. But then I think many of the modern countries are also going in the similar lines. So that is, I think, to some extent yellow or even green, right? Next would be the basic infrastructure, right? So whether it's the roads, highways, railway networks, airports, right? So here I think when it comes to highways, we all know there's tremendous progress in the last 10 years at least. We have to definitely give a big shout out to the government doing a great job in this area. Whereas on the railway sector, I think India has the biggest railway network, but also one of the oldest, right? The speed at which our trains run is very, very slow when compared to modern countries out there, right? So there, I think our tracks need to be reinforced for higher speed trains. Technology has to be upgraded. Here also, I feel the pace at which we are improving airports is much faster than the pace at which we are trying to improve railway networks. In fact, majority of our population cannot afford airports, right? I mean, air travel. Whereas my view is maybe more investment should go into railway networks, because that is where majority of our population can also afford, right? So making high-speed trains which could connect closer cities, for example, Bangalore, Chennai, maybe Hyderabad, then in the northern parts as well, a lot of cities can be interconnected this way, so that travel becomes easier between the cities, and then population is spread out. Concentration within cities will also reduce. So I think this is where government, I'm not sure why they are not moving as fast as required, but this is my view. Maybe there are some specific reasons why we're not doing, but then I somehow feel that if you see what happened in China, what happened in Japan, I think there's a big difference, right? They have established these high-speed rail networks, which are best in the world, more or less, and majority of their population uses these modes of transport, right? And they're also spread out because of this. So this is something that definitely needs to be worked on. Similarly, when it comes to city infrastructure, I think we are lagging far behind when compared to the population that is moving into cities. So whether it's the metro trains, whether it is the peripheral ring roads, whether it is the basic road infrastructure, whether it is water. See, even today, many of the cities or majority part of the city is not provided with municipal water, right? So this itself is a clear example where we are with respect to calling us developed nation, right? One of the major criteria is 24-hour or at least majority of times water supply to most of the population. There itself we are lagging behind, right? Even in our capital city, Delhi, we are struggling to connect 100%, make 100% water connection. So what are we talking about, right? So the infrastructure within cities is not able to cope up with the speed at which a population is growing. Most of the developed nations have cracked this, right? This is a good sign that actually population is increasing in the cities. That is how cities develop, which aid in development of the country. But then it also means the government has to cope up with the speed at which population increases, right? There I think we are a long way to go with respect to development of these infrastructure needs. Another important trait of a developed nation is the state of law and order, and also the judicial system, right? So though the rate of crime in India is not very high compared to many other developed nations. I mean, per capita crime, if you see, I think we're still in a good range, but that is not because of having strong police system, right? In fact, I think for the population that we have, our police force is very small, right? We are understaffed again here. Um, at the same time, our judicial system, where most of the settlements need to happen, most of the agreements need to be enforced by law, right? There we are struggling very, very badly, right? I think one of the areas where India is lagging very, very behind, because you already know, most of you already know that there are cases which run for 20 years, 25 years. What are you talking about? Then who has how do people have faith in the system then? Most of the people want to avoid going to the court for settlements, right? Even though they are on the right side, where they know that they have no role to play, or no bad that they have done, they still fear going to the court, because they know to prove themselves that they are right, years will pass by, and the process itself is a punishment, right? So absolutely, there we are lagging in terms of infrastructure, number of courts, most importantly also super understaffed, right? I have gone through some of the study material where it says, I mean, we are understaffed for several decades already, right? That's the reason why we are having so many cases that are pending. In fact, also basic needs like projector to show video evidences, toilets in the courts across the country. I mean, many parameters were lagging behind with respect to judicial system, right? So this is again a big area where a lot of progress needs to be made. Okay, so now we have discussed on various areas where we are lagging behind as a country. Obviously, uh, this I do not attribute to any specific government in power, because these are not things that are built overnight or in a decade. This needs decades of continuous investments in various areas. Only then these things will improve. Nothing can be done in a short time, and that is why I do not think it is any specific government's flaw that today we are here. I think it's a combined flaw. Everyone have contributed to where we are. For sure, in some areas we have done well, but in many areas we are lacking behind. So, anyways, a very important aspect that we need to consider is what is preventing the government from investing further in these areas and speeding it up, right? Why can't we just speed up all of the investments in these areas? I mean, whether it's education, whether it is maybe healthcare, whether it is road infrastructure, highways, railways. I mean, why don't we just maybe invest 10 times more than what we are doing today and speed up the process, so that in the next 5 years everything is built? What is stopping us, right? A simple answer for this is money, right? It's funny, but reality is that money is limited, right? Though many of us have this misconception, government has RBI, and why can't they just print more money and get all of this done, right? I mean, it's a very naive idea to do something like that, because once a government starts doing it, the value of the currency starts depreciating rapidly, right? More money is printed without just because you want to build more infrastructure and invest more. I mean, then obviously your currency starts devaluing, right? And once it starts sliding down, it's very hard to control, right? So basically, that's not at all an option. Now we can equate this to a household. Let's say a country is equated to a household. Population is the members of the house, right? The members who stay in the home, and just like how in a home there's a fixed budget, right? Based on the income, there's a fixed budget, and then everything in the home has to be planned within that budget. Similar is with a country, right? it has to be all planned within the budget, right? And the only way now you can increase the spending in each of the areas is to increase the income, right? This is very, very critical, right? All of us have to understand this, that the only way a country can start investing further in any of these areas or in all of these areas is by earning more. And obviously to earn, we need to understand how a country can earn more, right? What should we do? Which means what should a country be doing to become rich, right? This is the critical aspect. Only when you have enough money you can do. Just like in a house, you can do more things when you have money, right? You can build a better home, you can build better facilities in the home, etc., just by having more money, right? So how do we do it at a country level, right? This is where fundamentally many of us have to understand how a country becomes rich, right? So many a times we think it's the government's role to make a country rich, but that's the biggest myth. Even the government wants us to think that way, but actually what government can do is only make certain policies and infrastructures which are necessary to act as catalyst for companies and organizations to thrive. It is the companies, organizations, entrepreneurs, business establishments who can actually make money for the country, right? And eventually make the countries rich. Now think about this. Whether it's South Korea, whether it's Japan, whether it's the US, why are they rich? Simple answer. The world is using their products, right? Whether it's, when you're talking about Korea, what comes to your mind? It's the Hyundais, it's the Kias, it's the Samsungs, right? They're selling worldwide, global markets, right? And that is bringing in currencies right across the globe to South Korea, which is such a small country, but today it's such a powerful economy, right? Same is the case with Japan, right? Worldwide, globally, their automobiles and their electronics are famous, right? They're known for it, and then people even today buy them in bulk. For example, in India, Suzuki is the biggest seller, right? And where do you think all the profits go back, right? For sure, MSIL, Maruti also has a stake, but then majority also go back to Japan, right? So similarly, US, right? Most of the tech companies today which are ruling the globe are from the US, right? The video that you're looking at today is also on a platform which is owned by US. A US company, right? Similarly, whether it's Facebook, whether it is all the latest AI tools that are being developed, the Teslas of the world, everything of top-notch technology is being developed in the US and then exported to the world. So that is bringing them foreign currency or revenue. It is similar to a house, right? Now within the house, if there is some trade that is done, right? That means brother is giving sister something, sister is giving that money to baby brother, and then they're exchanging this kind of currency. Hypothetical example, right? It is not that the household income is increasing. It is just that the currency within the house is moving from one hand to another, right? That is similar to at a country level, right? If we do trade within the country, right, that is only money exchange between the hands of the people within the country. That cannot make a country rich, right? That to some extent is needed, because today what are we doing? We are buying a lot of imported goods, right? So instead of exchanging the money within, we are also giving out a major chunk to companies outside, right? This is where I think China did a brilliant job, right? Across its tech areas, they have encouraged. There is definitely government hand in it. They could do it also because of their special status of government there. But then, whatever it is, the end result today is that they have a lot of tech companies which basically rule their markets within. But in India, it's a different story, right? And in fact, we as Indians also have this feeling that if it is made somewhere outside, definitely the quality and the longevity is better. Irrespective of what is the truth, we directly accept this at face value, right? And because of that, obviously, in multiple sectors, instead of exchanging money within, we are also giving a lot of our currency outside, right? A lot of our wealth outside, right? And then obviously we also need currency from outside, which can only, money flowing in from outside, and that's only possible if you make products that are sellable worldwide, right? And there I think India has to definitely improve in multiple areas, right? It's definitely service sector is doing a brilliant job. I think in the recent times I read somewhere that India service exports is more than what Saudi's oil exports were in I think last year or before last year, right? In that way, yes, the service sector is doing a pretty good job. I think we are playing at world class level in that area, but then that is not sufficient for a population of 140 crore. Just a service sector cannot support the entire economic weight, right? So we definitely need a lot of manufacturing capacity to increase. We definitely need a lot of tech companies, product-based companies to come in, which are then selling their products worldwide, which means first of all the acceptability within our country has to increase, right? So we need to stop looking at our own brands with suspicion, right? Obviously we want to check their quality, but then after that you have to give them some leeway to progress, right? You cannot push them down. Today we buy many products without even looking at which company and where the company is from, right? And we don't even know that many companies are not even Indian, right? I can name so many which you guys already think they are Indian companies, but in reality they're not, right? So that is where we need to start. First, start embracing products which are locally made within the country, so that whatever money, whatever profits that go through are then invested back into the country, home country. Employment is generated, new products and portfolios are coming up, and you are fueling all of this, right? This is number one. Number two, once you start doing this, these companies slowly improve their products to a level where they are globally competent, and then they start also expanding globally, right? There are very few examples where this has happened, but then we need a lot more. See, today there is not even one product which I can say or we can say that it is globally benchmark for that specific area. For example, Switzerland, it's known for chocolates worldwide, it's known for watches worldwide, right? Also the financial system worldwide. Similarly, Japan, I already mentioned some examples, Korea, but for India, the examples are very, very less. I think the only case where the world considers as one of the top places only in the service segment, right? But definitely we need to progress from where we are today, right? And China has done a brilliant job. We have to accept that they have absolutely disseminated the manufacturing world. They have taken control and become the manufacturing hub for the global businesses, and we have a lot of things to learn from them. We should not feel ashamed that or we should not feel odd that we have to copy someone whom we're not that friendly with, but then reality is reality. We have to accept, right? So this is something that we definitely need to look at, and for all of this to happen, right, what is important, right? There are three things that we need to do as a society. First thing is set the right examples, right? I think this is where generationally, for whatever reason, there are logical reasons, but then generationally we have set the wrong examples as a society, right? I think right from about 3-4 decades, the successful person is always the person who travels abroad and settles abroad and makes a lot of money, right? This is the example of a successful person in most of the households, right? And right through the early ages, this is what is shown to the kid, and obviously the kid then tries to mimic the same. His notion of success itself is to travel abroad, right, and establish himself there. Obviously I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying if most of your cream is doing that, who's going to build here, right? We just now discussed about how products and services and many other manufacturing sectors have to improve, and who has to do that? It's not the government who will sit and make products for the world or make new technology innovations and so on, right? It is the people, and if people aspire to actually not do this and go abroad and settle there and work for other companies, then how is it possible, right? It does not mean everyone have to sit and stay back in India and do this, right? I'm just saying that if you set the right examples, for example, what do you mean by setting the right example, right? I mean, How many of our kids know the journey of Narayan Murthy, right? How many of the kids know the journey of Kiran Majumdar Shah, right? Azim Premji, right? There are so many examples which we could take inspiration from. Abdul Kalam sir, right? How many of them know the journey, right? What contributions they have made? Is it not that they did not have better opportunities out there, right? They did something here, and today they have to be treated as the real heroes. Somewhere, I think we don't acknowledge or give them enough credit for that, right? They ought to be the heroes that need to inspire our children, right from the early ages. If we had shown them and said, this is what success means, this is what contribution means, this is what is the need of the hour, automatically, if not all, a lot of population who are capable would actually aspire to be that. That would be their aspiration in their life. That would be their aim in their life. So, which means a lot more people would have worked either in companies in India or established their own startups in India, whether it's in manufacturing or any other sector. And obviously, when more people do it, the rate of success is also going to, the number of companies which get created and successful companies which stay back are increasing, which is bringing then the revenues and so on for the country, right? So first step is setting the right examples and inspiring. Second thing is supporting, right? When there are existing companies, are we supporting them enough, right? This is where we need to relook into, right? When you see a lot of startups today which are coming in India, what they need is the initial support from the population, right? Wherever there is quality that is equivalent to any other established player, you can test the quality, obviously, in most of the products. If you see that they are equal quality, then try to actually encourage the startup by buying it from those companies, right? Because then you give them a chance to grow. So this is one way of support. Another way is, I think this is an appeal to the high net worth individuals and VC investors and angel investors, etc., right? Most of them in India are risk aversive. They want definitive bets, right? They want always the upside. It's not possible, right? Obviously, I'm not saying just invest blindly. They are experts in the field, but then they need to take more calculated risks. That is when new technology companies, product-based companies, etc., get a chance. If most of the investors want to see revenue right from day one, how is it possible that product-based companies can survive, right? It does not mean today they're not investing. They are, but then the percentage is very, very small. We need a lot more investment to flow in there. And then a lot more successful stories will also come out, which will then trigger more people to get into this particular domain, right? So, I may not be the expert in that area, but then I strongly feel that this is where also the investment community, the high net worth individuals, the VC community and so on can support, right? Third thing is participate, right? This is a little bit of a difficult step, but this is eventually automatically going to happen with more of success stories. Participate is where you yourself also get into any of these areas, right? Either by becoming an entrepreneur or becoming a contributor to a startup or a company which is working in these lines, at the same time, or becoming an investor if you're a high net worth individual, starting a VC firm, or at the same time also maybe someone who is advising such companies, right? Many of a lot of people have super experience in very high positions, right? When I say a lot, obviously the number is small. There are many capable people who can actually be advisors, right? If you're able to do that for small startups, that's like a big support for them, right? They lack the experience. They have a lot of enthusiasm, they have a lot of ideas, but then they don't know the market, right? If someone can then who's from the industry start supporting and encouraging these people and mentor them, obviously that's a big help, right? So there are 3 steps that we spoke about. One is setting the right examples. Second thing is supporting. Third important aspect is participate. So by doing all of this, we then set up a chain, right? It's kind of a cyclic chain. So one thing triggers the other thing triggers the other. So over a period, this would make, first of all, products and services within the country which are highly competitive and maybe replacements for foreign imports in the first place. Then slowly over a period of time, these become products and services and goods which are competitive worldwide, right? And then this would bring in revenues which would make the country richer over a period, right? And this will then help government allocate more money for each of the areas that we spoke about, and over a period things in various areas that we spoke about which can make a country developed nation will start moving faster, right? So what I wanted to tell through this video is, thinking that majority of population today thinks that government has to do some magic and make the country a developed nation. But what is important is we as population realize that it is all in our hands, right? We play a major role in this, and if we now ignore that role and expect that government should do everything, I mean, we are doomed. It's not going to happen, right? So this is my way of telling all of you what little I know, so that maybe a small sector of audience at least understand, build on top of this, make better ideas and start contributing in this direction, right? Thanks a lot everyone for staying in and listening to this. And hopefully we see a brighter India in the coming years. Thank you all.